What's up guys, it's Tom here and welcome to a brand new video where we will talk about Mo Salah, Virgil van Dijk and also Trent Alexander-Arnold all signing a new contract, potentially, hopefully very soon, because Arne tells Mo Salah just ignore the Saudi interest and stay at Liverpool, and Arne says it's clear that Liverpool want to extend the contracts of Salah, Van Dijk and Trent Alexander-Arnold, and he has spoken to them about their future. That's what he revealed in his recent press conference, and Arne believes that Mo Salah should resist any temptation of going to Saudi Arabia right now and sign a new contract at Liverpool and stay and cement his legacy as one of the all-time greatest Liverpool players in the history of Liverpool, and also one of the all-time greatest players the Premier League has ever seen. And Arne insisted that it was no surprise that interest from the Saudi League is intensifying in Mo Salah, because who wouldn't want to have Mo Salah in their team? The Saudi Minister of Sport, Prince Abdulaziz bin Turki Al Faisal, has said this week that it would be a privilege if Salah were to move to the Saudi League, and Al Hilal are interested in him. But of course Arne said, I would be surprised if there was anyone anywhere around the world who would be saying we don't want Mo Salah. He's doing so well for so many years that everyone probably wants him. He has done so well without my advice for a long time, so he can probably keep doing what is best for his career even without my advice. But my advice, Arne said, would be different to the Saudi minister. What I mean by different is everyone wants him, including us at Liverpool. We want him to extend his contract and to stay at Liverpool. That is clear. He's old and wise enough, and he has done so many smart things in his career that he will make the right decision for himself and hopefully for us as well. And I mean, Mo Salah can go to Saudi in 2 or 3 years. His stock will be maybe even higher, so he could get maybe even a bigger salary than he would get right now at Saudi in 2 or 3 years time. That offer will still be there. That huge lucrative contract will still be there when his next contract hopefully expires at Liverpool. And Salah and both Van Dijk are now 33 years old, and Trent Alexander-Arnold he's 26, and of course we all know that they are all out of contract at the end of the season. And Arne said, the answer to the question, what would I tell all these players? The answer is, of course, I would want them to stay at Liverpool. I speak with these players, I speak with them not every day like Richard Hughes, Liverpool's sporting director, does, but quite a lot. And it would be ridiculous if in all of these times I speak to them, we have never spoken about the future. So of course we do speak about the future, but that is something I'm not going to discuss publicly. It is not only with the 3 players that are out of contract. You also talk about the future things with other players as well. It's a non-stop process talking to your players, but it is also a non-stop process that I will not talk about in public, and I think that's a very smart decision from Arne Slot. Let me know right now, how confident are you that Salah will stay? How confident are you that Van Dijk will stay? And how confident are you that Trent Alexander-Arnold will stay? Right now I'm like 90% confident that Van Dijk will stay. I'm like 70% confident on Salah. And with Trent Alexander-Arnold, I just don't know. Honestly, he has given so little away about his future plans. I'm like 50-50. What gives me confidence is that we have Richard Hughes, who is a very, very good sporting director, even though he got blasted by many Liverpool fans recently because of his lack of transfers, because of the lack of new contracts. But reserve your judgment until the end of the season, until we know what Liverpool have done this season. How many trophies did we or didn't we win? And also what Salah, Van Dijk and Trent Alexander-Arnold will do at the end of their contracts. Because there is still a scenario open that Liverpool could win 2 or maybe even more trophies this season. And there is still a scenario that Salah, Van Dijk stays, maybe Trent even stays. Liverpool win a lot of trophies, and then we go into the summer with a completely different mindset, with a completely different perspective. I fully understand many Liverpool fans, including myself, are very impatient, very angry at the lack of transfers, the lack of progress in the contract talks. But that is all publicly. Privately behind the scenes, Liverpool are working diligently on both those things. And I want to analyze Richard Hughes because right now the sporting director has gone under fire by many Liverpool fans and maybe rightfully so. But his previous work at Bournemouth, I mean, look at how great they have done. They just beaten Nottingham Forest, who not long ago were deemed to be in the title race, 5-0. And Bournemouth-Liverpool is Liverpool's next game. So let me know your score prediction. What do you predict? I predict an extremely hard game, and I'm predicting a 2-1 Liverpool win. Hopefully we can just get over the line and win that, because then the Merseyside derby, the last Goodison derby, will be extremely difficult midweek as well. So let me know what do you predict for the Bournemouth game. And of course, if you enjoy these videos, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new around here, so you never miss the latest updates around Liverpool FC. So last spring, in his mansion house in the center of Zwolle, Arne Slot sat down with Richard Hughes, and for what happens next, one of Richard Hughes' colleagues said he should be getting knighted. It was Richard Hughes' first major task as Liverpool's sporting director, and he nailed it in Arne Slot's family home. He convinced Arne Slot to join Liverpool. I had a very good relationship from the start with Richard, which is one of the reasons I loved to join the club, Arne Slot said. In that meeting, Arne Slot's big question was, why me? And glad you asked, Hughes replied, laying down a 60-page dossier Liverpool compiled on Arne Slot. When Slot opined that one of his strengths was improving players, Arne Slot agreed, said we agree, and directed him to the section packed with stats and personal testimonies which supported that view. Arne Slot was blown away by the extensive work Richard Hughes has done on him. Any sane observer would conclude that someone able to sign the Premier League's two hottest coaches one after another was quite good at their job, and Liverpool are in first place in the Premier League, in the Champions League, and the riches in the Bournemouth squad Hughes assembled might strengthen that belief, because Richard Hughes nailed most of Bournemouth's transfers as well, which we will talk about in a second. But a section of Liverpool fans of social media are calling Richard Hughes useless and missing. They are asking, forget the results, where are our deals? Michael Edwards doesn't share this view. He was arguably Liverpool's best sporting director since from 2016 to 2022. Hughes was still at Bournemouth. They have a 2-decade-old friendship. Edwards was Portsmouth's performance analyst and Hughes their captain. And after training, they would, sit down together. And these were the guys who most loved football and getting into the detail of the game. Bournemouth were Liverpool's main competition when Michael Edwards signed Joe Gomez, Andy Robertson, Harvey Elliott. And when he went for Lloyd Kelly at Bristol City, Hughes got there first. David Brooks and Ryan Christie were others. Edwards was considering when Bournemouth beat them to the punch. And, all these players are shining in the Premier League. Especially, Ryan Christie this season is having a great season. Hughes almost pulled off a remarkable deal for Sadio Mane as well. And even when Van Dijk was at Celtic, Hughes told Edwards to sign Van Dijk. He was a sounding board when Edwards was plotting the recruitment of Salah and Alisson from Roma. And raised in Italy, Hughes was a youth player at Atalanta, and later a Serie A pundit for BT Sport, as he was raving to Edwards about Roberto De Zerbi long before De Zerbi breakthrough's job at Sassuolo. And of course, later De Zerbi went to Bournemouth, where Richard Hughes used to work. And when FSG brought back Michael Edwards as the CEO of football at FSG last March, recruiting Richard Hughes as Liverpool's new sporting director was his key decision. And they even interviewed Paul Mitchell, Marcus Krusche, but they didn't fit Liverpool's culture and the club so well. Michael Edwards acknowledged Hughes has soft skills superior to his own, and when the pair agreed that Arne Slot was the outstanding candidate to replace Jurgen Klopp, Edwards saw Hughes as best to negotiate with Arne Slot, and the rest is history. Arne Slot became a Liverpool manager, and Liverpool have a long checklist of about 20 different elements they seek in a head coach. Interestingly, in one category, player availability, another candidate, Ruben Amorim, rated best in Europe, but Arne Slot still scored very highly there and topped nearly all the others in a lot of other metrics, especially impressing in Liverpool's model measuring overperformance and improvement of players. Hughes needed no convincing about the latter. At Bournemouth, he got to know Slot's work only too well, signing two talents that Arne Slot developed at Feyenoord, Marco Senesi and Luis Sinisterra through Leeds United. And he actually ended up telling Bournemouth scouts to stop recommending Feyenoord players because it's the coach there who makes them look so good and who makes them so much improved to previous seasons. And of course, criticism began after Hughes failed to recruit Martin Zubimendi. He flew to San Sebastian, but he later returned to Liverpool empty-handed. But Zubimendi decided he could not bring himself to put in the transfer request necessary to trigger a €60 million buyout clause at his boyhood club. And of course, the criticism grew even higher when Liverpool announced they will not pursue an alternative to Martin Zubimendi. But that was, Ryan Gravenberch, to Gravenberch's benefit, because he emerged as a world-class player. Because if Liverpool signed Zubimendi, then we would have played Zubimendi and McAllister for most of the games, and Gravenberch wouldn't have had this great opportunity to actually flourish as a starting player at Liverpool this season. And Richard Hughes has a very measured approach to transfers at Liverpool, and it was clear that improving players was one of Arne Slot's superpowers, as they call it. So why would you stop him using it by just buying players? You can, of course, improve players that you already have at Liverpool. Arne Slot demanded Liverpool have 6 attackers at their disposal. That's why we signed Chiesa for a knockdown fee of £10 million. And of course, it took a long time for Chiesa to get up to full fitness, but now he's fully integrated his squad into the Liverpool squad. He already played the full 90 minutes at PSV Eindhoven, and hopefully we will see Chiesa get regular game time. Richard Hughes also signed Mamardashvili, assessed by Liverpool's scouting and data department to have been the best young player in the world over the last 12 months. He's not having a great season at Valencia, but we signed him for a crazy low price of just 25 million. And next season, I think he will improve at Liverpool under the new goalkeeping department at Liverpool, and of course under Arne Slot as well. And Richard Hughes has the staff, including David Woodfine as assistant sporting director, and he recruited Mark Burchill and Craig McKee as senior scouts. And both these men have helped him assemble a Bournemouth squad stocked with great talents such as Antoine Semenyo, Milos Kerkez. They are both coveted by big clubs. And of course, there is the player sales. Bringing in €47 million for Sepp van den Berg and Fabio Carvalho seems a business that Michael Edwards used to do. Again, you look back to Richard Hughes' work at Bournemouth. He signed Tyrone Mings for $8 million. He sold him for 25 million. He signed Aaron Ramsdale for £0.8 million and sold him for 18.5 million to Arsenal and other players as well. Michael Edwards describes himself as ruthless. If you know him, you know friendship would be bottom of his reasons for making business decisions. It was not why Hughes was hired. But their close relationship might help Liverpool's ownership and football department navigate these very treacherous waters around Salah, Van Dijk and Trent Alexander-Arnold's contract. And it's not a great enviable task that Michael Edwards was tasked with extending these three players' contracts. Liverpool, of course, want all three of them to stay. As I already mentioned in this video, Hughes is leading negotiations to try to make that happen. But players, of course, got to want to stay. Alexander-Arnold is considering interest from Real Madrid, and Salah and Van Dijk already declared their desire to stay, but maybe their contract demands are a little bit too high and Liverpool are trying to come to a compromise. But Richard Hughes knows that because at Liverpool there is no state funding, no oligarch funding, you can't spend the money twice. Yes, Salah is valued very highly, but no player can be handed a contract that risks the club's financial health and long-term stability. Liverpool don't want to end up in a situation where Arsenal gave big fat contracts to Mesut Ozil and Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. And as soon as they got their new long contract, their performances started to deteriorate and it wrecked Arsenal financially for a couple of years. Liverpool also don't see themselves as being active in the January transfer window. Well, no surprise. We have been very, very quiet in the January transfer window because the Liverpool believe that the squad, the quality of the squad, the depth of the squad is enough for the rest of the season, and hopefully we will avoid getting big injuries. The good news is that Jota, Darwin Núñez and Joe Gomez both started, all three of them started training yesterday, so hopefully they will be ready. Maybe not for the Bournemouth game, but for Everton. And however, the long-term work involves succession planning for every position, and if any of these big three players leave, the list of options to replace them will be at the ready. And that's why I'm not too worried about any of these big three players leaving, because Richard Hughes and Michael Edwards are the best people to pick out the next big talent that Liverpool can sign for a relatively low transfer fee and make them superstars. The view is that the surest way to retain stars is by creating football conditions that make them want to be there, and appointing the right head coach is the start. So maybe Liverpool fans shouldn't call Richard Hughes useless just yet. As I said, we should wait and see what Liverpool do for the rest of the season, on the pitch and off the pitch as well. And then we have to judge Richard Hughes when we see the full first season and how it culminated. And I'm not too worried, even if Trent leaves maybe. Liverpool can recruit the next up-and-coming right back that best suits Liverpool's playing style. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day. See you later, guys. Goodbye.